Today we're joined by Ty Mitchell, a realtor, a team leader, and someone who really hit the ground running in real estate like a madman. Ty, tell us a little bit about your real estate story.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I think we would be remiss not to share our first encounter and how I even ended up on this legendary podcast. And it
Let's
all
do it.
started after Real Rise in October of 2024. Three?
Yeah. Uh,
Three.
Three.
Three. October 2023, San Diego, international departures. You and I are both awaiting a flight back to Vancouver. It's an early flight. It's like 6, 7 a.m. And I saw you wearing a work hard, be kind shirt. I believe that was from the Banff event or something that was earlier on that year. Whatever it may be, you had a real broker shirt on. And I was like, oh, there's somebody that might listen to my nonsensical yammerings here at 7 in the morning. I was so fired up from that conference. I just got so much out of it that I just had to share with somebody. And I was so glad that there was a willing recipient on the other end. And you and I went back and forth until the plane took off and stayed in touch. And it's been great. We've run into each other a few times in person, obviously at the Real Rise events, but also you came out to Winnipeg, which I know we're going to touch on in a little bit here too. You came to Winnipeg in November, which isn't even the coldest time, I will say. I mean, this is still November weather that we're experiencing towards the end of March, but it's been great getting to know you, and I just am so grateful for you to give me an opportunity to come on and share with you today.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been great meeting you, and that's what makes real so special. Again, is these connections that we make. We go to these events, we meet people, and yeah, it means something.
It's something that I didn't understand or expect when I got into real estate, and then even when I ended up joining Real in May of 2023. So my foray into real estate has not been a super lengthy experience. I can go back to, it was 2020 when I really decided to build up some courage and go and get my license. I had been coming off of a 15-year radio career. So I had traveled across the country. I had worked in a ton of different markets. I had built a brand in 7 different cities across the country. And, I knew how to do some things, but I knew that I needed to do other things with my life. And I wasn't always going to be on the radio, making jokes. I wasn't having a great time getting up at 3:30 in the morning. Just a lot was going on. And this was right around the time of COVID. And I don't know if you remember it, but it was a tricky time to be a broadcaster at that time, especially as a guy who was on a rock radio station. I'm a pretty fun-loving guy. Everything's normally lighthearted, pretty jokey overall, slanted takes on the world. And all of a sudden we got hit with COVID, and it didn't matter what you said on one side of the coin or the other. You were making enemies everywhere, and there was just a lot of negativity around it. I was kind of in a dark place. And when I say that real estate saved my life, I think that would be an understatement, but completely true. I was in a spot where I needed to kind of muster up some courage to break away from my previous life. And I had a friend who was working in real estate, and I had invested in real estate. And before I got into radio, I actually built houses. I used to listen to the guys while I was building houses. I used to listen to them on the radio and then parlayed that into a career. And so I had some familiarity with the process of building homes. I knew a lot about homes. I had renovated homes. I had bought and sold homes using an agent, had varied levels of experiences along the way. And then I decided to shape my business based on, a couple of conversations that I had. I said, I think this is something that I wanted to do. And I didn't go in with 2 feet at first. I did hold myself accountable getting into real estate by telling everybody that I knew that I was getting into real estate. So when you say hit the ground running like a madman, I mean, I had 3 listings in my first month. Keeping in mind, this was also early 2021 when the market was an absolute heater. Like everything was on fire. Like I didn't even know. I ended up selling 37 houses my first year. I probably wrote 337 offers. Like we were going out to show houses, and I would be straight up like showing up with pre-written offers, just getting people to sign on the hoods of cars and just basically leaving it on the table and say, hey, present this offer as written kind of thing. And I thought that's what real estate was. And then I realized by 2022, October 2022, when the rates started climbing and inflation started, getting Canada by the grips, and we were like, wow, what is happening here? So I had to make a change in life at that point too. So I've given up the radio career after about 8 or 9 months in real estate because it was more lucrative for me. I was having a better time spending my time in the real estate space. And that's how I knew that I was ready to get out of radio and hang up those headphones. So once I committed, I jumped in with 2 feet. And like I say, the market continued to be interesting and picking up steam until it wasn't. And then I had never been through a hard market before. And so I knew that what I was doing was probably not going to yield me a ton of business. So I realized that I probably need to do more. I need to put myself out there. And to put myself out there, I needed to make some lifestyle changes. So I basically, I gave up a couple things that I really enjoyed doing that were, hindering me from being productive. I quit drinking alcohol, which was a big one. I got back so much time that I was able to spend that time, especially when I first quit drinking, because I would, I was a very casual, very social guy. Would always want to go have a couple beers at lunch with somebody, or a Saturday afternoon, or a hockey game, whatever the case was. But with that extra time, I just started spending it on learning, and the market was so slow. It's not like anybody had any listings or anybody to work with. So all I spent that time doing was refining myself and refining my business, and really understanding that I have a business. And I started listening to somebody by the name of Sharon Srivatsa, who served as the president of Real, which I guess at the time of recording this, March 2025, he is still technically the president of Real for a little while to come here. But this was before I had joined Real Broker that I had learned about Sharon and the Business School podcast. So I was basically scoring an MBA on the heels of this guy who is, now I understand him to be a guru, but at the time I didn't really know a ton about him. And then as things worked out, I had met a couple of guys by the name of Jesse Peters and Addison Hirosian who, in November, December of 2023, were having the conversations of bringing Real Broker to Manitoba, at which point I had something else to look forward to. So I had been with the Balloon brand for a couple of years leading up to Real launching in Manitoba, but I knew that as soon as Real Broker launched in Manitoba, that I wanted to be boots on the ground. I wanted to be an early adopter, right? We say we have adopters and we have adapters, right? And I had kind of understood and heard the philosophy behind the cloud-based brokerage, and it was offering a lot of things that I also believed. That I didn't think that desk fees should be so expensive if you don't even have a desk. Like, I just, as somebody who didn't grow up around real estate, I didn't realize how expensive it is to run a business. Right? Like it's incredible. The overhead, like you can make a lot of money in real estate, but actually not be turning a profitable business. And that's one thing that blows my mind. Like there are people that work really, really hard and a lot of hours, but really when you break down their cost per hour, they're actually working below minimum wage. And I was like, whoa, because I was working so hard my first 18 months where you don't even really know what you're doing, like you understand the contracts, but everything's just happening so fast because you've never really done it before. You've never gone through that cycle of a hot market, a cold market, back to a hot market. Like really, since I started in April 2021, it has been a complete one of these. It's a complete roller coaster. And I also live in a place where historically there's been about 4 months of not great real estate. And that would be November, December, January, February. Right? Because of the cold weather here in Manitoba, there are a lot of people that, leading up to Christmas, traditional Christmas, holiday break, some people don't want to be out looking at houses when it's, time to go Christmas shopping, or in January when it's minus 40. We also compete with a lot of people that want to go away for a period of time during the winter months as well. So you've got the snowbirds that don't live here, etc. And so it eliminates some of those conversations that you can have for the upcoming spring to potentially prepare some inventory. So overall, in my time, it felt like a mad dash for a long time. And then this last year and a bit, since I've really implemented my systems and processes and, brought the full-time licensed assistant on board and been able to realize that like, hey, I don't need to do everything all the time, which I thought I did my first 18 months where it was like, this is all on me, all this pressure, and you're wearing this pressure and stress. And I think that's where, people can tend to feel that burnout in real estate, where now I don't have that because I've got the support systems. I tell people all the time, like, you're not hiring me for my looks or my style. You're hiring me for my processes and my systems, and that's it. So I spent some time building these out so that now I do have time to sit down and spend an hour on the phone, or spend that hour with my kids, or go for that bike ride in the morning, look after myself, a little bit better for my health, and not necessarily just being, a slave to the phone, trying to
Yeah.
chase for sale signs around the city. Because if you're just focused on chasing real estate, it's going to become very unfulfilling, and it's not going to take that long for it to become cumbersome for you. And again, I haven't been doing it terribly long. I heard somebody use a line not long ago that if you still love houses and you're in real estate, then you haven't sold enough houses. Like, right? If you still love people, then you haven't dealt with enough people, I guess is kind of the saying. But
Yep.
I don't know. I've always been a people person. I was in a forward-facing business in the media for 15 years, and it didn't matter if I was in my comfies at the grocery store, and if somebody recognized me or heard my voice at the till, like, always have time for people. And that's kind of why I feel like I've been able to be really successful in real estate, where I do make my time available for people to make them feel valued and heard.
Yeah, I could tell. And just from knowing you as much as I do, that is your secret sauce. You're a people person, and we can tell when we meet you that you actually care and you give us time to chat with you. So awesome. So circling back now to the No Agent Left Behind event
Mm-hmm.
that was held in Winnipeg back in November. You spoke at that, and your theme was on Mr. Rogers. So can you tell us a little bit about what that was all about, your presentation?
Yeah, becoming the Mr. Rogers of your neighborhood. This was something that I still look back on as what I thought would be a once in a lifetime experience. Apparently, I may get an opportunity to get up on stage again after that, but I was so humbled to even be asked to share on stage. And now I understand that what I've done in a short period of time, I guess for the audience here, people always like to hear numbers. This is the one thing that I've learned. The more time I spend around real estate agents, the only people that care about the numbers are other real estate agents.
Very
But like
true.
every real estate agent knows their numbers and should know their numbers. I find so that when it comes to the topic of conversation, what have you done lately? I can say, well, I sold 91 homes last year. Out of those 91 homes, 30 of those people came through my social media. Out of those 30 people, 9 of those were people that turned into repeat business after that. And that's just within the last calendar year. And really, getting the opportunity to be able to share was so incredible. I realized that, like, again, my past may have helped propel me in some way that I was always building up for this. I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't really know my purpose when I was working in radio, back selling Led Zeppelin records. Like, again, how does that have to do with real estate? Well, what it is, it's storytelling. And my storytelling ability, I was able to display at No Agent Left Behind. Becoming the Mr. Rogers of your neighborhood was simply a 45-minute keynote of me talking about how I was able to grow a very successful business all within walking distance of my house. So last year alone, out of $36 million of business that I put on the books, a third of that was in a neighborhood called River Heights. Now, this is the neighborhood that I grew up in, but I had not lived in River Heights for 22 years. So what I did was I reconnected with the neighborhood. I moved back to the area. I started doing some targeted ads. I started, now, as you'll see on my timeline at Ty Sells WPG, I put a lot of content directed, shining the spotlight on my neighborhood. I'm showcasing the great things about this neighborhood. I wanted to be known for representing this neighborhood and also letting people know that, like, hey, I've been repping this neighborhood for a very long time, and here's why you should trust me. Right. And so I have stories of walking around my neighborhood, chatting to one guy, for example, was building a fence. I saw he was building a fence. I went for my morning walk around the neighborhood to just, get a breath of fresh air. It was June. Grab a little morning iced coffee, and I said, "Hey, sir, great looking fence. Boy, the price of cedar these days is nuts, isn't it?" And he looked and he said, "Oh, yeah, it sure is. Yeah, I've been building fences a long time. Most expensive fence I ever built." Anyway, next day, routine, right? I realize this man is probably going to be out building his fence again, so I walk past him again. Same little quip. "Oh, hey, doing a great job. Let me know if you need a hand there strapping up a couple boards." "Oh, no, I got it." Okay. So the third day, I end up going and grabbing some kind of dragon fruit, some kind of fruity drink. Anyway, it was on ice. It was a hot morning, and I took it over to him. It was about 10:30, and I said, "Hey, you look like you could use a break." I said, "I brought you one of these," and of course, we get chatting, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been in here for years." And I said, "Oh, I grew up just over there," and so on and so forth. And he said, well, "You're a real estate agent?" He's like, "Oh, that's why you got so much time to walk around the neighborhood all the time." He said, "Well, he's like, if you want, he's like, walk over that way. There's a lady who was maybe talking about selling her house." So of course, I went over past the house and I said, do. Hey, listen, I was talking to this guy over here and he said that you might need some help getting your house ready to sell. And she said, yeah, actually, do you know an electrician? Because I have some knob and tube in this house that I want removed before we put it on the market. So I connected her with the electrician, got the electrician over there. Electrician did the work, and there's a listing that's coming my way that's around a $700,000 house, which for Winnipeg,
Wow.
that is a right, like that is a pretty good listing to get anywhere. But just grateful because what did it cost me? Well, a couple of ha-ha-has to a guy down the street and a small fruity cocktail from the Empty Cup local coffee shop. So I'm supporting a local place. I'm giving myself the credit for being at the local place by tagging them. Then I'm walking around the local neighborhood, talking to a local person, doing something nice for them without asking anything in return. I'm not out telling them, hey, I'm a real estate agent, want to sell your house? No, I just led with a, hey, you want a coffee? You want a drink? You want something? Like, can I do something for you? And lo and behold, that conversation starts. And as we know, conversations equal conversions. And that's kind of how I worked my way through building that Mr. Rogers neighborhood theme, where I do get business just from being a neighborhood guy. And I know what they say, sometimes your best ability is availability, but when you're in the local neighborhood and people are seeing you, so I have a series of 8 bus benches that paint the neighborhood. When I say that, I mean like I've got the neighborhood cornered. So you can't leave the neighborhood without seeing a smiling mug like this, and you can't enter the neighborhood without seeing a smiling mug like this. Now, with that, I get credit for people saying, hey, Ty, you're everywhere. I see you everywhere. And it's like, really, there's only 8 of them, and I know where they all are. I could tell you the addresses of all of them, but I've put them in such strategic spots that, like I say, as people are coming back from work or as they're coming back from a hockey game with their kids, they're like, oh, I didn't see him there before. They've taken a different route home. I have every single, and this comes from knowing the neighborhood too, but also comes from having a marketing background of my years in radio, like which I alluded to during my keynote speak there, where I already know that local wins. That's what local radio had. That was all local radio had, right? So it's not about being everything to everyone. It's about finding your niche, finding your community, building your community, showing up for your community. And there's a line that I like to use. It's an equation. And I say desire plus action plus consistency equals magic. And if you want to do something, like if you really, really want something and you put together an actionable plan and you hold yourself accountable, and then if you do it with some consistency, you can do anything. Like you can do anything. I know that if I took my knowledge, like what I'm able to do well, and if I wanted to go and start in Saskatoon, or if I wanted to go to Moncton, New Brunswick, I like to think that in a matter of 3 to 6 months, I would already start to have impact. Why? Because I know that if I do 1 to 2 things for my business every single day, I am going to outpace the competition in a matter of 30 days. If I put out in Halifax, if I put out 1 piece of Halifax content every day for a month, that's 30 pieces of content rolling around with the hashtag Halifax Real Estate, Halifax Realtor. You would think that through some osmosis of the internet, somebody is going to find you and like you. And that's all it has become, right? It's the know, like, trust. First, people get to know you, then they like you, then they trust you. And that's why social media has been so great for trust building with people, because I know that most of the people that are reaching out to me, they already know what I'm about. They already know the backdrop. They already know that I'm going to wear a blazer when I show up. I'm going to be, like I don't wear 3-piece suits, like I'm a little bit more casual. And I think, people like that. It's the same person that you're seeing online that you're seeing in person. And that's one thing that I really, really wanted to stress with that talk too, where you can just go ahead and be yourself. If you're a Porsche owner, okay, and there's a Porsche club of your local town, your city, like the Victoria MG club or something like that. And you're like, hey, listen, there's only 300 people in this MG club. Yeah, but you could be the real estate agent for all 300 of those people. And if they're Porsche owners, they probably have quite nice homes. Do you know what I mean? So like you can actually get more, like this idea of needing tens of thousands of people. Like I hear agents flexing on how many people they have in their database, but like they sold half as many houses as I did last year. It's like, you know what I mean? Great. You have 10,000 people in your database, but I have like 10 people that are like my biggest fans. And those 10 people passed me to like 30 of their friends last year. Right. And those are like direct referrals, like one to one. And you can't really beat that. Right. And it's similar to Instagram, where that becomes you're referring yourself basically. Right. All you're doing is telling people why they should work with you. Right. Or what they're going to get out of the experience.
Love it. Yeah. No, so valuable. So for someone watching this and they're saying, okay, well, I want to be Mr. Rogers in my community, in my neighborhood. What are some like preliminary steps do you think that you could say, hey, this is what you really need to do? This is the goal to get this, to make this happen.
Okay. So for somebody just starting out, or did they already have a bit of a business and they're trying to pick it up?
You know what? Let's say someone just starting out. Yeah. Fresh.
Yeah. First things first, find the people that you want to align with. First and foremost, find the people that you want to be like, find the people that you want to be around, find the people that are doing the things that you want to be doing, and then go be a sponge. Even if it costs you 25 to 50% of your first couple of checks, find a mentor, find somebody who will give you a little bit of that secret sauce. Because again, like end of the day, the secret sauce is all available. It's all about implementing it. So not necessarily for accountability, but even just to be in the presence of people that are doing things that you want to be doing is so invaluable. That's how I feel when I go to a conference like Rise, where there's all these rock star agents from all over North America that are doing things that I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Oh, right. Like there's so many people that have built such powerful brands, and you're like, wow, I'm in the room with them. And that's it. Like I paid, whatever my admission fee was to go to this conference, and I get to stand here for like 10 minutes and talk to somebody that I admire, that I've been looking up to online, and I get to ask them the questions that I want answers to. So that's where, like, for me, like when I was starting out, I had a good friend of mine. Now it was just a bit of a different team dynamic. So my first year I spent learning the job, like learning the technical side of the job, the contracts. That's because the first year was just, it was hard to build a business. And this is one thing that I know we may touch on after, but for somebody who wants to really take this seriously, you wouldn't open up a storefront business without a sign, probably a cash register, a couple chairs, like you wouldn't open up any other business without certain things. A carpenter wouldn't start up a contracting business without a truck, without saws, without a couple of helpers to, lift the trusses up, right? So in real estate, this is the one thing that I didn't understand. I didn't realize that I was building a business. I was just a real estate agent, right? Like I was just sticking for sale signs and hanging up lock boxes, chasing real estate, right?
Yeah.
I wish I would have figured out that this was a business sooner than I did. It would have saved me just a lot of long hours where, okay, I now have the framework in place so that this is all strategy to my day. This is all scheduling to my day. Like everything that I'm planning, everything that I'm doing is for a reason. It's for purpose. It's with intent. I'm not just out chasing things because, I got to put these signs out. It's like, no, like you need to learn how to pass things off to people and ask for help, get help when you need. But for starting out, learn from people that are already doing the things that you want to be doing would be the top thing that I would say. Find mentors and listen to the advice, like listen to it and actually implement it. That's the biggest thing, because you can find it anywhere on Instagram. You can listen to a podcast and get so much gold out of it. But unless you're really willing to do something with it, you're probably just wasting your time. And the other thing I guess I would say is just starting out, if you have another job, I know you need to pay the bills. I know that's like but like that holds so many people back, because all it's doing is taking time away. Unless your other job is somewhere where you're passing out your business card all the time and it's bringing you a ton of business. I mean, I guess there's that aspect of it potentially too. But overall, you need to just focus on the task at hand, because there's so much. Like if you really want to run a refined real estate business, you can't be thinking about like, oh, hey, did I do that thing for my other job? You really just need to be thinking about your clients and your business at all times.
Yeah, you absolutely have to commit to this career if it is going to be successful. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, like I spent that time. I kind of, I'll be honest with you. I told myself after my first month in real estate, I said, as soon as I make enough money working for myself in real estate, then I'm going to leave this corporate life behind. Because that's what I had kind of felt like. I was just, trying to, this never ending climbing of the corporate ladder, working for somebody else, I can't take my holidays during this time. I can't do this. And, it was very limiting. Right. And then, wow, once I let go of that burden, I felt so free, and I just felt like I could do anything. Like, I couldn't believe it. There were some days where I was like, wait, do I even have a job? Like, what is my job? I don't like, what am I doing? Now, I think as real estate agents, we still probably, I'm lucky I get to be busy every single day with real estate in some capacity. But it gets very lonely sometimes if you're sitting around and you don't have a lot going on. So that's where I would say you need to pick up the phone. Yes, call people, but also just make content. Put yourself out there. If you have downtime, like the old saying in the restaurant, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Like, if you're not actively selling houses and you're not sure why things aren't working in your business, have a look at your timeline. When was the last time you posted? Like, did you tell people that you're in real estate? Does everybody know? Did you call everybody in your phone and tell them that you are now a real estate agent? Because there are some people that are scared to tell people that are in their inner circle, people that they've known for a long time, that they're in real estate. And that's all. This can't be a secret. You need to tell as many people as possible. The more people that know that you're doing this, the more people are going to call you and trust you with their business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everywhere you go, you are a real estate agent. And it's not that cringy. Do you know anyone who wants to buy or sell in the next 6 months? No, it's just the way you're portraying yourself, the way you're talking with people and showing people that you care about them. And
Yeah.
then they know and they like you and they trust you, and that just grows your business.
Yeah. And even just thinking of people when a house sells nearby, hey, so and so, I know we had a conversation a couple years ago at a golf tournament or something like
Yeah.
that. I'm in real estate now. I just wanted to let you know your neighbor's house just sold for 40K over the asking price. And, it's not a bad time to sell if you've been thinking about leveling up to a larger home. But
Totally.
again, balls in your court, like, no pressure for me. I don't sell anything. Like, I don't sell houses necessarily. I help facilitate the contracts and negotiate them out. But really, like, I just match people to property. I'm having a lot of success right now with not even using MLS as much, where I have buyers that are, because we have a competitive market here where it's getting harder and harder in these multiple offer situations to compete. If somebody has a limited budget, well, what I can do is basically take this buyer and introduce them to somebody who I know would consider selling if they got the right price for their home, and we can bring a deal together that way as well. And just showing people that you're doing extra for them
Yeah.
has really set me apart from the competition. I don't even look at it like competition. It's just like, this is how I do my business. Quite often, I'll get people who come into my universe that had been previously working with somebody or had worked with other agents in the past. And again, we are just doing things differently. And it's leading with kindness. It's leading with caring. It's not caring if you sell your house today, tomorrow, next week, next year. It's like, hey, listen, when you're ready, I'm on your terms. I'm on your timeline. Like, if you're willing to trust me to help you with this at some point, I'm here for you. There's no extra pressure for me. I'm here to advise you along the way. And that's really it. Like, taking a little bit more laid back approach to it. Right.
And acting that way, I think, is a breath of fresh air in this industry because that's not how a lot of real estate agents act. So I think that's also what's setting you apart and aside from other people is that just coming with this, I'm here to help you on your timeline and not be pushy at all attitude. So yeah, that is amazing.
I let them know I'm going to be doing this for a long time. I plan on doing this for a long time. So look, even if it's not this deal, hey, even if
Yeah.
they went with somebody else, even if, like I saw one of my friends, I guess his new partner has been friends with this agent for a long time, this other agent. And what did I do? I saw them out looking at houses. Again, was a little taken aback. They actually live a couple doors down from me and I see them all the time. Didn't even realize they were looking for houses. He was just at my house a couple of weeks prior to that. And I just saw them out looking at houses. So I quickly put a smile on my face and I said, hey guys, I didn't even realize you were out. Well, listen, here's your agent here. And I said, great. Well, hey, it's good to meet you. And I said, listen, I have a couple opportunities coming up here. I've got this coming and I've got this off market and this. And I said, I'm going to send them to you as soon as we walk out of here. And then you can take Joe and Jane over and go look at the place maybe before it hits the market next week. So immediately just bring them an opportunity.
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't want this guy that I've known since grade 6 feeling weird. I always said, I was like, I don't want real estate to come between relationships. And so even, like I learned this very early on too, where working with friends and family is not going to float your business. Like if you're somebody who thinks that like, just because you know a lot of people that they're all going to choose you every time, it just doesn't work that way. So again, growing that universe of people that don't know you, that aren't in your sphere of influence is also huge too. You can do this without knowing a ton of people. Like I often get that from other agents as, kind of pushback. They're like, well, you can do this because you know so many people. I'm like, do you know how many people I know that are working with other agents right now? Like a lot of the people I'm working with are new to me. They're new people. And,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there at every opportunity. If you're not willing to just tell somebody that you have the ability to help them navigate a real estate contract, then you're probably not even cut out for the business long run. Like if you're too shy to say something, you hear people talking about real estate in a waiting room at a hospital or something like that, right? And like if you're not willing to be like, hey, listen, did I catch that right? That you're maybe looking to sell your house? Because like I actually have a ton of buyers. I live in River Heights. I'm this. I'm right. And you can just do a quick little intro to yourself, even just as simple as looking. Like I'll just be in the middle of something and be at a store, whatever, have a conversation. Oh, sorry. In real estate, I'm used to being on my phone all the time and navigating, like you're like bumping into people, whatever. Like it's like, oh no, you
Yeah.
just have to find a way to bring it up. Like
That's right.
that's really all it is. And then because people are always curious about it. That's the one thing I've noticed, that people are always curious because if they own a home, they want to know what their house is worth. They want to know if the price has gone up. They want to know how the market is, if they chose to sell. Like everybody who owns real estate is pretty invested in it. And people that don't own real estate are also invested in it because they're curious because they want to know if things are cheap enough that they can buy yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's pivot now to
Yeah.
more real Canada conversation. So we talked a little bit about what attracted you to Real already, being that early adopter. Now, being at Real, and you've been here for a couple of years now, what do you feel is some of the biggest items of value that Real delivers to you?
Okay. So I find overall that the biggest value that has been given is the sense of community. And I didn't feel that my first year and a half at a different brokerage. I actually felt everything was siloed. Nobody wanted to share anything. Even people that were like close to you still didn't want to give you too much of their, secret sauce, if you will, or just, even give you any time. And that was the biggest thing. It's like sometimes you just need to talk things out for 3 to 5 minutes and, just pick somebody's brain, ask a couple ideas from somebody who's been there and done it before. So that idea of the community and the community spirit that I see continues to grow across not just the province of Manitoba. Like we grew really quickly here. The first round, like the first month of agents that came over to Real in Manitoba, myself included, man, it has grown exponentially since then. We're pushing 200 agents here, the second biggest brokerage in Manitoba by agent count, and the
Wow.
fourth largest by transaction volume and units, which for under 2 years, it's incredible. So we're starting to get some bigger name agents coming over too. And that's one thing that I find is also really helpful to growing the brand because like, again, for me, I don't see myself as somebody who's like pushing the pace. Do you know, like I'm really like, I like when there are people that are ahead of me in the race that I can try and keep up with. Right. So
Okay.
the more bigger agents that are coming over, I think it's really, really helping too. I think that the collaboration and just the vibe that everybody has, like really there's not too many duds in the bunch at Real Broker, Manitoba and across Canada and really across the States. I have had a chance to interact with a ton of agents from Real, and I just think there's a reason why many of them are seeing success on the national stage. It's clear as day to me. These are good people. These are solid agents. These are people that have built really, really good businesses in unique ways using cutting edge technology, right? And this is something that I think partnering with Real, this was very important as well, where even just having the proprietary signature, having this dashboard software, like when I show people in real time, like, this is where I'm at for the year. I think that's incredible. Like what a tool to have. I never had that kind of transparency with my broker before, where it was like, hey, yeah, you get some printed out statement on a piece of paper with your check that you had to take photos of and upload, mobile deposit. But, overall, between the technology, the collaboration, those are two of the big drivers for me. I also just, and this will probably tie into the culture of everything, but I love the extras that other agents are now doing. And when I say that, I'm talking like this. You're taking this upon yourself to do it. I'm seeing like big agents in the States getting together for masterminds and shooting content together. Like that all it's so cool. And it's just not anything that I've ever seen before. It reminds me a lot of my previous incarnation, where it was like you wanted all the jocks, like all the on-air staff from the radio station to be seen out together at the bar, at the concert, right? At the club, wearing your station gear, right? Like that was it. That was part of the image, right? People like saw you as like a brotherhood or a sisterhood or like they wanted to be part of you, and that's kind of how I'm feeling that Real is. Cause I know I get FOMO every time I see, some of these folks in Utah snowboarding and like, getting down in some sick chalet and shooting videos. I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have got an invite to, like it's so cool. And like, I don't think I would have got that anywhere else, where I'm sort of feeling like, and I don't feel like an outsider. I feel like it's like one of those things where you can literally get invited to one of these things on a whim, or even just reach out to these people and be like, hey, the next time you're doing one of these, I'd love to come, and probably find yourself in the mix, which is kind of surreal, right? Because like you can just, in a way, and I'll just say, like, you can meet your heroes, for lack of better term, right? Like you can actually go and meet these people, and they're willing to like give you time of day. And that's why, I just think that this is a rocket ship that, just will continue to take off as people continue to see that. Obviously, the splits are the splits are the splits. Like,
Yeah.
anywhere you work, you're going in real estate, you're going to have some kind of agreement there with the broker to hold your license. And that's just the reality. If you don't like it, you can go start up your own brokerage and figure out that that's not all it's cracked up to be at all. I would imagine that, yes, okay, you might get paid while you're sleeping, but also you're not sleeping because anytime an agent is dealing with something, they're calling you. And I think the support overall, while I don't deal with Reason and the support team a ton, my assistant handles most of that stuff. But as far as it goes, the support has been really, really good for anything, especially like when I first came over to Real, I'm not a tech guy. Like I said that when I first came over to Real, people would ask me about, sort of the experience. And I'm like, well, I feel like 15 to 20% smarter just being, I have an app. My whole business is on an app. I'm taking pictures of everything, and everything's just like digital. Like I don't even have filing cabinets anymore. Like I had all these filing folders that I had bought that it's like, I don't need these anymore, and just, might as well torch them. But yeah, like it's been a really, really cool experience that I didn't know there was more to real estate than selling houses. I didn't realize there was a whole family type aspect to it. And again, like a lot of these people they're rock stars in their own market, and we can always learn from that. Like if you're in Victoria area, right? Like Nanaimo, like you're on the island where it's like you're doing things there that I can watch and I can learn from and I can implement here because nobody's doing it here. And it is brilliant.
It's pretty special what we have. And I think that being outside, like we use buzzwords like our community is awesome, the culture's awesome. But like once you're part of it and actually feel it, it's almost indescribable. It is really special what we're growing and how it is attracting, like you said, the right type of person, like the right agents are joining, and we're just growing with that mindset. It's amazing.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you got to go. Lastly, the Winnipeg Jets, why are they not going to win the cup this year?
Wow. Okay. Well, and you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, right?
No, you might think so, but actually I grew up in Alberta, so I'm an
Yeah.
Oilers fan.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, Jets just beat the Oilers last week.
sure, you did.
So the Winnipeg Jets this year, if I was to find a reason for them not to win the Stanley Cup this year, it would have to come down to just a choke in the playoffs, because this team that I have watched this year in Winnipeg as a season ticket holder, I feel that this team is built from goaltending You've got Vezina caliber goaltending in Connor Hellebuck. He has been an
You do.
absolute brick wall this year. So it would take some kind of, and I'm not even going to throw it out there, but Connor Hellebuck will be playing all of the playoff games right through Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final when the Jets win. Defense, again, shored up the back end a little bit, bringing in Luke Shen, so you get a little bit more physicality back there with a big body. You know, the defense core anchored by Josh Morrissey, he is just a complete stud out there. This guy guiding the power play, he's incredible. He's so fun to watch. And then our top six is as good as any in the league. You got Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, just lighting it up this year, just on a complete tear. I would be shocked if this team didn't get out of the first round of the playoffs this year. It's last year was a tricky one, you know, Colorado. The key to the Jets moving on, though, is getting home ice advantage and finishing first. They don't want to finish second or third because they don't want to have to play Dallas or Colorado in the first round. They want that lob ball. They want to face a Calgary. They want to face a Vancouver in the first round. That would be the best. And again, if you play Colorado, they've played them well in the regular season this year. They've played Dallas well this year. They just beat them a couple weeks ago with a really, you know, handy 4-1 victory on a Friday night and really just took it to them. So, like, my opinion is I think the Jets are going to win the Stanley Cup this year, and I can't find a lot of reasons that they wouldn't, other than just you rooting against them and throwing out the bad juju.
No, you know what? They are pretty bulletproof, and I think they are supremely better even than last year. I think they are
Yes.
the team to beat. They
Better
are.
coached and better
Yeah.
coached. Like Scott Arniel coming in this year, getting rid of Rick Bowness. Gotta love old bones, but you know, it was just time to bring in Scott Arniel, and he's got the respect of the room. And I think that this group of guys wants to win for this city. I don't even know what would happen if the Winnipeg Jets won the Stanley Cup here and how crazy it would go. I saw the Grey Cup parade in 2019. This city was on a bender for a week, so I mean there will be a parade. Portage and Main will be closed down for a week, I would imagine, and just I don't want to jinx anything, but
No, no, no. Yeah.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling this. This is the year.
Playoffs are going to be amazing this year.
Yeah, you
Okay,
betcha.
man.
Always are.
If
Okay.
yeah, yeah. If there's anyone that's wants to reach out to you, maybe has some questions about Real and Winnipeg in your area, or wants to join, how can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find me anytime through my Instagram at TyCellsWPG. I am on this. I am active. I have a VA that posts some things, but I am in the DMs. I am posting my stories every day, my just updating people with what's coming up on my timeline. And yeah, I would love to engage with you on socials. And my website is TyCellsWPG.com. If you're somebody who has found this, who's looking to move to Winnipeg, and maybe you want to move to a city where the potential Stanley Cup champions are going to be based out of, we can find you a great piece of property here for under $500,000, like a really nice house for under $500K in a great neighborhood. That just does not exist in so many other cities across this country and across the U.S. So yeah, we're always looking for more, looking for people to jump on the Jets bandwagon, and looking for more people to move to this Paris of the Prairies.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Ty.
Okay, thank you,
Take
appreciate
care.
you. Okay, see ya.